In this video, I'm gonna give you my top 5 most affordable suburbs of Atlanta, and that's coming up right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Living in Atlanta YouTube channel. We created this channel specifically to help folks figure out what it's like to live in the Atlanta area. My name is Mark Brenner. I'm a realtor here in Atlanta, and my team, the Living in Atlanta team, would love to hear from you. We created this channel so that you would call us. If you have questions about what neighborhood is right for you, about the process for buying and selling a home, or even where you should consider renting, feel free to reach out anytime. You can book an appointment with us directly using the link in the description below. You can give us a call, email, text, however you want to do it. We would love to hear from you. All right, so today I'm going to be making a video more about the suburbs. A lot of my content is focused more on the city, so I want to help folks who are going to be living outside the perimeter, and we're going to be talking about the most affordable suburbs of Atlanta. Now, it's really important to note this is not the cheapest suburbs of Atlanta, okay? This is the most affordable suburbs. And so as you hear me go through this list, keep in mind I am thinking of a few factors. I'm factoring in things like proximity to the city, the quality of the schools, the crime, and the things to do. So this list is really the best of all of those worlds in an area that's very affordable. A lot of the attention goes to Alpharetta, Johns Creek, so on and so forth. So these are some lesser known neighborhoods that I think have some really great value. But just keep that in mind. Of course, these are not the cheapest areas to live in. In my mind, these are the most affordable and some of the best value neighborhoods around Atlanta. So let's get right into it. My top 5 most affordable suburbs of Atlanta. All right, so number 5 on my list of the most affordable suburbs, I have Fairburn. Now, I've talked about Fairburn quite a bit in my videos. The reason why I like it is because the home prices and the value that you get with how close to the city you are. So Fairburn is just to the southwest of Atlanta. It's only gonna take you about 20 to 30 minutes to get into the city from there. So it's a really easy commute, but the value is tremendous. Before we go too deep into Fairburn though, like all of my videos, let's take a quick look at the map just so you know where I'm talking about. All right, so let's look at where Fairburn is. So you see we have Atlanta here with the perimeter, and you have Fairburn just to the southwest. And a big plus of living anywhere on the south side of Atlanta is your proximity to Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. So if you travel a lot, this is another plus of living in Fairburn. So now you know where it is, let's talk in more detail about this neighborhood. All right, so you see that Fairburn is a great proximity to Atlanta. If you are commuting into the city, this could be a great option for you. And the beautiful thing is, if you are working with a tighter budget, say even in the high 100s to low 200s, you can find a great place in Fairburn. In fact, there's often still new construction builds in the high 100s to low 200s in the Fairburn area. So if you have a limited budget, you want a more renovated or new place to live, then Fairburn could be a really good option. Now, there's a reason why Fairburn is so close yet so affordable. Crime can be a mixed bag. It's not a high crime area by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not one of the lower crime areas overall. And the quality of the schools, unfortunately, is not going to be very high. You may have some charter or private school options over here, but if public schools are at the top of your list, Fairburn may not be the place for you. The other thing is, in terms of things to do, there's not a ton in Fairburn. Now, I'm not saying it's super rural. You'll still have your shopping centers, Kroger, Publix, Walmart, etc. But you're not going to have the fancy amenities that you may have in some of the North Atlanta suburbs, like in Alpharetta. So, you know, if you're going to do that date night or special occasion or go to a nicer bar or restaurant, you're probably going to have to drive a little further if you live here. But overall, I definitely wanted to mention Fairburn because as prices go up in Atlanta, places like this are becoming more and more rare. And of course, the prices in Fairburn will continue to rise as well. But if you need to be close to the city, If you're working with a much tighter budget, Fairburn could really be a good place to look at. All right, coming in at number 4 on the list, I have Beaufort City. Now, again, you've heard me talk about Beaufort quite a bit, and the reason why I do is because the quality of the schools. And they're pretty much the best public school district in all of Georgia, consistently at the top of all the best school district lists, really just the best school system that you'll find. So before we get too deep into it, again, let's go see exactly where I'm talking about. All right, so now let's talk about the city of Beaufort, Georgia. So you see, again, Atlanta's here. You have Beaufort towards the northeast. It is a little further away, so that is one con. If you do need to be close to the city, you're about an hour or so away living in Beaufort. Now, a huge positive of living in this area is that you get to enjoy Lake Lanier, which is a favorite for Atlantans, especially in the summertime. But, like I'll tell you, outstanding schools in Beaufort and a generally safe area. You're also close to a lot of other beautiful neighborhoods, Sewanee, Cumming, close to Johns Creek, Alpharetta. So although you won't be close to the city, there still will be a lot of cool things around. All right, so you can see while Beaufort's schools are fantastic, it is going to be a bit further from the city. So if you need to be commuting into the city or you just want more of a city atmosphere, Beaufort City might not be the place for you. It's going to take you about an hour, give or take, depending exactly where you are, to get into downtown Atlanta. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with Beaufort is that there's a lot of low-income areas in Beaufort as well. So you do have a little bit more rundown, some sketchy areas where crime will be a little bit higher in certain parts of Beaufort. There are also lots of very nice, perfectly safe areas in Beaufort. But all that to say, if schools are paramount to you and you don't mind more of a rural setting further away from the city, Beaufort could really be a good option for you, and here's why. Probably the best combination of quality schools with price. You can still legitimately find a nice move-in ready home in the mid-200s in Beaufort. To be in the best school district in the state at that price is the main reason why I'm mentioning this neighborhood. Now, again, you're gonna be a little bit more rural, you're gonna be further out, so while you will have all the basic amenities that you need and would expect, you are not gonna have those high-level, high-end restaurants, bars, fancy things to do that you'll get as you get closer to the city. So that's fine for a lot of people, I'm sure, but just so you keep in mind what you'll be getting if you live in Beaufort. This is a great area if you're on a little bit lower budget. Maybe you have a family with kids where schools are paramount to you. Beaufort should definitely be a place that you look at in that instance. All right, coming in at number 3 on my list is Fayetteville. Now, Fayetteville is an area actually that really does not get talked about enough. And a lot of that may have to do with the fact that it's south of Atlanta. And South Atlanta can get kind of a bad rap, but if you go south far enough, things start to get really good. Peachtree City, Fayetteville area, these are very safe areas that are very affordable with good schools, and the proximity to Atlanta isn't that bad. So before I get into it, let's take a quick look at where Fayetteville is. All right, so let's look at Fayetteville, Georgia. So we've got the city here, and directly to the south, you see there's Fayetteville. Now, one of the reasons Fayetteville goes under the radar is because a lot of the neighborhoods in South Atlanta get a bad rap for crime, quality of living. But if you go further south, you go into some great areas. Peachtree City, Fayetteville, which we're talking about today. So you can see if you do need to commute or spend more time in the city, it's really not going to be too bad of a drive. And similar to Fairburn, you're going to be really close to the airport, which is a huge plus, of course, if you travel a lot. But this is Fayetteville, and it's a great little town. So now that you know where it is, let's talk more about it in detail. All right, so as you can see, if you live in Fayetteville, it's not too much of a trek to the city by any stretch of the imagination. But the reality is, like most people, you'll probably stay in your bubble. So you're probably going to be doing most of your hanging out in the Fayetteville area. The good news is there's plenty to do down there. There are nice restaurants, plenty of amenities, everything you could expect, from a modern neighborhood that you would need. Shopping, retail, restaurants, bars, anything that you would want you can find in Fayetteville. Very affordable. You can still purchase houses here that are move-in ready in the mid-300s and be very comfortable. Of course, there are homes that go up well above that, but there's still a lot of affordability in Fayetteville. And honestly, the combination of safety, quality schools, things to do, proximity to the city, I'm really surprised that Fayetteville hasn't gotten much more expensive over the last couple years, but it's a little bit under the radar. I think it's a fantastic place. If you have a family, you need a safe setting to raise your kids, you don't mind being a little bit further from the city, or maybe really never going into the city at all, Fayetteville could be a great place for you. The other cool thing is that you're going to be much closer to the airport if you do a lot of traveling, because you are on the south side of the city, and of course Hartsfield-Jackson is in South Atlanta. Now, one thing to note with Fayetteville, if diversity is really important to you, Fayetteville doesn't really fit that bill. It's not super diverse, it's mostly Caucasian, which of course not a problem, but if you maybe are a minority family or couple and diversity is really important to you, I don't know that Fayetteville would be at the top of my list. I would still definitely consider it. Not saying that you would have trouble as a minority in Fayetteville by any stretch, but people do ask about diversity for these neighborhoods, so I wanted to mention that. Overall, Fayetteville is a fantastic place to raise a family or just live in a safe area. It's way under the radar, and the only reason it's not higher on my list is the ease in and out of the city. All right, coming in at number 2 on my list of the most affordable suburbs of Atlanta, I have Marietta. I talk about Marietta all the time, and the reason is the combination of proximity to the city and the value still available, in addition to the quality of the schools and safety. So let's pull up the map and show you where Marietta is. All right, so number 2 on the list was Marietta, so let's make sure you know where that is. Have the city here. Just to the northwest, you've got Marietta. You can see one of the big reasons at the top of my list is because of the proximity to the city. You can easily commute here if you live in Marietta but work in the city, or if you just want to enjoy the city, that's no problem. That's no problem either. I'll talk about how you're close to Smyrna, which has a lot of great things to do. But this is Marietta. This is a great school district. This is a great proximity to the city. And there's a lot of other great things to love about it as well, which I'll talk about now. All right, so as you can see, Marietta is a really easy drive into the city. If you do have to commute, it really shouldn't be a problem unless maybe you're on the southeast side of the city. You're also very close to Smyrna, which has a lot of great amenities. The Battery, where the Braves play, is here. So lots of fun things to do on the weekend in Marietta. And of course, because you're so close to the city, you want to go on a date night, you want to go see a movie. Really easy commute. In most areas, it's going to be 25 to 30 minutes in there. It can be a little further depending how far out in Marietta you are. But another great thing about Marietta, you have Cobb County Schools. It's a great public school district. Most of the schools in this area are going to be rated 7 and above. And safety really isn't going to be too much of a concern in most of Marietta. You do have a couple lower income areas where crime may be elevated, but overall, I think it's a perfectly safe area to raise a family. You don't have to worry about walking out in the street at night. So you've got great schools, you've got safety, you've got proximity to the city, plenty of things to do in Marietta and close by. You can get into a great move-in ready home in Marietta in the low to mid 300s. Of course, like any other area, you'll have $1 million homes. So you can spend as much money as you want, but we're talking about affordability today. So it's an amazing thing in an area like this, you can still buy a home in the low to mid 300s. And we're seeing it change very rapidly through this extremely hot market. A lot of the neighborhoods that I'm talking about in this list, you are see prices increasing because the market, the people buying are realizing everything that I'm talking about today. The areas with the most value are having a lot of attention on them. So Marietta is going to go up and up in terms of value, but right now I think it's a great place to look if you're on slightly more of a limited budget. You have to be in an area with good schools. You prefer to be an easy distance from the city. Marietta should be at the top of your list of places to look. All right, coming in at number 1 at my list of the most affordable suburbs in Atlanta, I have Lawrenceville. Now, Lawrenceville is very similar to Marietta, except it's on the northeast side instead of the northwest side. So before we get into it, let's look at where I'm talking about. So you can see we are towards the northeast part of Atlanta, and it's kind of the opposite of Marietta. You've got a great neighborhood to the northwest, and you've got a very similar great neighborhood to the northeast. They mirror each other in a lot of ways. Lawrenceville is a bit further out, so if you do commute, it's going to be a little bit more of a battle, not only because of the proximity, but there's some heavy traffic that goes on in this area. But if you want to spend some time in the city, it's really not going to take you longer than 45 minutes to get there. You're also super close to all these great neighborhoods. And like I'll talk about, most of anything you'll need, you can find right in Lawrenceville. So great proximity, great schools, safe, and there's just a lot of great things about Lawrenceville, which I'll talk a little bit more about now. All right, so similar to Marietta, you can see in Lawrenceville, you're gonna have a fairly easy commute into the city, maybe a little bit longer, 45 minutes or so. Traffic does get very crazy over here, but this is an area, again, great schools, safe, and affordable. You can get into Lawrenceville, buy a home in the mid to low 300s, and once you're in the 400s, you're gonna have a larger, completely renovated home. So great value in this area. You're close to Alpharetta and Johns Creek, where your prices go way up, but you're not paying those prices in Lawrenceville. So you can enjoy the amenities in these adjacent suburbs, you can enjoy the amenities in the city, and in Lawrenceville, like most of the areas I'm talking about today, you're gonna have everything you need for daily living. All your shopping and retail centers, all your grocery stores, whatever you need, you can get in Lawrenceville. There are some decent restaurants out there. And of course, like I said, you've got plenty amenities within a short driving distance. In terms of crime, pretty low out here. Really don't think you're gonna have to worry. You're a family, you're a woman on your own maybe. Really wouldn't see any reason to worry. It's gonna be much safer certainly than most areas in the city. So really has it all. If you need to be much closer to the city, you know, within 15 to 20 minutes, this might not work for you. If you need to be in a more rural, less trafficy area, this probably isn't gonna be a great place for you. It can get very busy in Lawrenceville and around it. It's sort of like a megalopolis where you have strip after strip of retail centers. And so you got a lot of traffic. There's a lot of businesses and things to do out there. You do get a lot of traffic in Lawrenceville, but overall I think it's one of the best combinations of good schools, safety, things to do, proximity to the city, at the price you can get in here. Whether you're renting, whether you're buying, it's gonna be better value than a lot of the other more prestigious neighborhoods in Atlanta. So if you're on a slightly more tight budget and all of the things I mentioned are important to you, I think you have to look at Lawrenceville in addition to all the other places I mentioned here today. All right, so there you have it, my top 5 most affordable suburbs in Atlanta. I hope you found that helpful. I didn't get too much into details. I didn't want this video to run too long, but I gave you the vibe of the area, the proximity to the city, roughly how much you can get in to buy a house in these areas, and some of the pros and cons. So really hope that provided you some value on your journey, whatever your plans are. Again, if you have more questions, if you need more in-depth help with your process, that's what my team is here for. All of our contact information is in the description below, so feel free to reach out anytime. If you enjoyed this video or my channel in any way, it would mean so much if you could just hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. So that's it for now. Again, my name is Mark Brenner. We are the Living in Atlanta team, and I'll see you next time.